The Beginning of Sorrows. Chapter 1. The Algorithm of Decay, 2028. The rain in Chicago didn't wash things clean anymore. It just made the grime slicker. Angela Rodgers pulled her collar up against the biting wind, navigating a sidewalk crowded with people who had nowhere to go. It was October 2028, and the transition, the government's polite euphemism for the mass displacement of the workforce by artificial general intelligence, was in full swing. Angela, 35, clutched her tablet like a shield. She was one of the lucky ones, a reporter for the Chicago Tribune, though the paper was now mostly an endless scroll of AI-generated fluff pieces about adapting to the new economy and universal basic income acting as a path to spiritual freedom. She wrote the real stories, the ones the editors buried on page 10, the suicides in the Rust Belt, the food riots in St. Louis masked as supply chain glitches. She ducked into a small automated cafe. No baristas, just a robotic arm pouring sludge into recycled cups. She sat in the back, her eyes scanning the room. Skepticism was her trade, and in 2028, business was booming. Her tablet buzzed, an encrypted drop. This happened occasionally, disgruntled coders sending her proof of algorithm bias or local corruption. She opened the file. It wasn't code. It was a memo, redacted heavily, stamped with the seal of the Global Stability Initiative, GSI. The header read, "Projected resource allocation for post-2035 demographics." She skimmed the executive summary. It was dry, actuarial language. To ensure the sustainability of the biosphere and the stability of the central governance model, a reduction in global biomass is required. Phase 1, economic constriction, is complete. Phase 2, the cull, is scheduled for commencement Q1 2035. Angela snorts softly. "Conspiracy trash," she mutters. She'd seen a dozen variations of this. The Illuminati, the aliens, the lizard people. This one blamed a coalition of G7 governments and the Vatican? She looked at the subheader. Ecumenical compliance and pacification. "Please," she whispered, dragging the file to the trash icon. "The Pope is too busy apologizing for the Crusades to plan a genocide." She deleted it. Or she thought she did. She didn't notice the shadow demon that installed itself on her root drive, pinging a server 3,000 miles away. Chapter 2. The Watchman, 2029. David Perkins stared at the waterfall of numbers cascading down his 3 monitors. He was 37, a data analyst for Ethelgard, the defense contractor that effectively ran the logistics for the North American Union. He was a man of logic, a quiet agnostic who found comfort in the predictability of math. But the math wasn't adding up. For 6 months, David had been tracking medical supply shipments. The government was stockpiling. That wasn't unusual. What was unusual was what they were stockpiling: palliative care drugs, morphine, sedatives, body bags, millions of them. Conversely, orders for antibiotics and insulin were being throttled, redirected to elite zones in DC, Geneva, and Brussels. Then he saw the flag on his system. A reporter in Chicago had received the Veritas file. "Angela Rodgers," David whispered, pulling up her profile. Black female, single, credit score dropping, flagged as a subversive intellectual. He saw she had deleted the file. Smart girl, he thought, but not smart enough. David leaned back in his ergonomic chair, the hum of the server room vibrating in his bones. He had seen the meetings. He knew the Vatican Accord wasn't about religion, it was about management. The new unified world religion, a watered-down coexist blend of environmentalism and state worship, was the opiate. The government was the needle. He looked at the calendar on his wall. 2029. 6 years, he muttered. They're going to kill 3 billion people in 6 years. He thought of his grandmother. She used to read the Bible to him. Revelation, Daniel. He had dismissed it as folklore. But looking at the data, looking at the cold, calculated intent to gut the middle class and reduce the population to a manageable serfdom, he felt a chill that wasn't from the air conditioning. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand. They weren't chipping people yet, but the universal ID required to buy food? That was already in beta testing. David made a decision. He copied the raw data to an offline drive, wiped his tracks, and typed out a resignation letter he would never send. He needed to get to Chicago. Chapter 3. The Contact. It took David 3 weeks to find her. Angela was covering a protest in Grant Park. The police drones were buzzing overhead like angry hornets, scanning faces for outstanding warrants. Angela was scribbling notes when a man in a nondescript gray hoodie sat on the bench next to her. "Don't look at me," David said, his voice low. "Keep writing." Angela stiffened. "If you're selling crypto scams, I'm broke. I'm not selling anything. I'm the one who sent you the file you deleted." Angela paused. She turned a page in her notebook. "I get a lot of spam. You'll have to be more specific. Projected resource allocation. The Vatican Accord, 2035. Angela stopped writing. She looked at him then. He had tired eyes, the kind that had seen too much screen time and not enough sleep. "Who are you?" "My name is David. I work for Ethelgard, or I did. Look, you were right to be skeptical, but you were wrong to delete it." "It said they're planning an extinction event," Angela whispered, checking the drones above. "That's sci-fi." "Is it?" David asked. "Look around, Angela. Look at the jobless rates. Look at the food prices. Why does a gallon of milk cost $15 when the dairy farms are fully automated? It's not inflation. It's strangulation. They are breaking the horse before they shoot it." "Why?" "Control," David said. Daniel 7:23. "The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces." Angela rolled her eyes. "Oh, great. You're a Bible thumper." "No," David said, shaking his head. "I'm a mathematician. I'm an agnostic. But I'm telling you, the playbook they are using, it matches that book. I don't know if God is real, Angela, but I know the devil is. I've seen his spreadsheets." He slid a flash drive into her pocket. "Go to the library, public terminal, air-gapped. Read the Omega Protocol folder, then meet me at the Old Navy Pier at midnight. If you don't come, I'm gone, and you should be too." Chapter 4. The Unveiling. Angela sat in the dusty silence of the library basement. The screen glowed green. She had been reading for 4 hours. The Omega Protocol wasn't just a plan, it was a schedule. 2030 to 2032. Induced civil unrest. Race wars fanned by algorithmic social media manipulation. Ref. Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation. 2033. The collapse of the dollar and the euro. Implementation of the central bank digital currency, CBDC. 2034. The Great Hunger. Artificial scarcity. 2035. The release. A binary pathogen. Harmless on its own, lethal when triggered by a specific 5G frequency broadcast. It included transcripts of meetings between high-ranking cardinals and the G7 leaders. They spoke of stewardship of the earth and the burden of overpopulation. They used holy words to justify unholy acts. Angela felt sick. It was the coldness of it. It wasn't hatred, it was indifference. To them, humanity was just an invasive species. She looked at a sidebar note. The public must be weaned from fundamentalist religions. A new, inclusive faith structure must be established to ensure compliance with the transition. Angela thought of her aunt, a devout woman who prayed every day. These people wanted to erase her aunt's God and replace him with a government mandate wrapped in robes. She ran. Chapter 5. The Flight, 2030. They met at the pier. The wind was howling. "You read it," David said. It wasn't a question. "They're going to kill everyone I know," Angela said, her voice trembling. "We have to publish this. The Times, the Post, owned by BlackRock and Vanguard." David cut her off. "Part of the system. If you try to upload this, the AI filters will flag it as malinformation and scrub it before it hits a server. Then they'll turn off your bank account. Then they'll turn off your car. So what do? We leave. We go analog. We warn people face to face." As if on cue, Angela's phone buzzed. A text message from her bank. "Account frozen due to suspicious activity pursuant to Federal Safety Act, Section 404. Then a siren wailed in the distance. "They know," David said. "Throw the phone in the lake, now." Angela hesitated, then hurled the device into the dark water. It felt like cutting off a limb. "Come on," David said. "I have a van. Old school. No GPS, no OnStar." They drove west, away from the city lights, into the dark cornfields of Iowa. Chapter 6. The Wilderness, 2031 to 2033. The world didn't end with a bang. It ended with a subscription notice. Over the next 3 years, Angela and David watched from the fringes as the Omega Protocol unfolded. They settled in a dilapidated farmhouse in the Ozarks, off the grid. They weren't alone. Slowly, they attracted others. Disenfranchised mechanics, nurses who refused the new mandatory health pass, teachers fired for refusing to teach the state curriculum. Life was hard, gritty. They chopped wood for heat. They grew potatoes. They hunted deer. Angela's hands, once stained with ink, were now calloused and stained with soil. David became the de facto leader, though he resisted the title. He spent his nights by candlelight, poring over the data he had saved and, increasingly, the King James Bible he had found in the attic. "Listen to this," David said one night. The wind was rattling the window frames. Angela was mending a coat. "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Matthew 24:6. Angela looked up. "Russia just invaded Poland, and China took Taiwan this morning." "Exactly," David said. "And the famines? The Midwest Dust Bowl is back. For nation shall rise against nation, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places." "It's happening," Angela said softly. She wasn't a skeptic anymore. You couldn't be a skeptic when the script was being acted out in front of you. "But look at verse 8, David said, his finger tracing the thin paper. "All these are the beginning of sorrows." "That's not comforting, David." "It is," he insisted, "because it means there's a plan. Not their plan, his plan. If the bad parts are true, the good parts have to be true too." David's agnosticism had evaporated, replaced by a terrified, awe-struck faith. He realized that the system he had worked for was the spirit of Antichrist, a system that sought to replace God with man and providence with algorithm. Angela struggled more. She believed in the conspiracy, but God? That was harder. "If he's real," Angela asked, "why is he letting them do this? Why is he letting them plan the extinction?" David looked into the fire. "I don't know. Maybe judgment. Maybe to wake us up. Maybe the wheat has to be separated from the tares. All I know is, The only thing that scares the people in charge is this book. Why would they try so hard to ban it if it was just a fairy tale? Chapter 7. The Ecclesia, 2034. By 2034, their community had grown to 50 people. They called themselves the Remnant. It wasn't a cult. There was no charismatic leader, no Kool-Aid, just survival and scripture. They had ham radios. David used them to broadcast warnings on shortwave frequencies. This is Watchman 1. The injection scheduled for January 2035 is not a vaccine. Do not take it. Move away from 5G towers. Get to high ground. Stockpile water. Read Matthew 24. Pray. Most of the static-filled world ignored them, but some listened. The government tightened the noose. In the cities, the universal faith was mandatory. Churches that preached the Bible were labeled hate groups and bulldozed. The Pope and the UN Secretary General held a joint summit declaring that individualism is the enemy of survival. Angela finally broke one evening. They were running low on antibiotics, and a child in their camp was sick. She went into the woods, fell to her knees in the mud, and screamed at the sky. "Are you there?" she cried. "We are trying to warn them. We are trying to live. Do you care?" She waited for lightning. She got silence. But in the silence, she felt a strange, heavy peace. A thought that wasn't hers entered her mind. "I have told you these things, so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world." She didn't know the verse, John 16:33, but she felt the truth of it. The system promised safety but gave fear. God promised trouble but gave peace. She walked back to the cabin. David was cleaning a rifle. "I believe," she said simply. David looked up, smiling tiredly. "About time, Rodgers." Chapter 8. The Great Extinction, 2035. The winter of 2035 was brutal. The event didn't happen with an explosion. It happened with a hum. On February 14th, the 5G towers across the major population centers, New York, London, Tokyo, Shanghai, emitted a pulse. It was invisible, silent. But inside the bodies of those who had received the compulsory health maintenance injections, the binary pathogen woke up. In the Ozarks, they watched it on a battery-powered television with a rabbit ear antenna. The news anchors were panicking, bleeding from the nose, collapsing on air. Then the feed cut to static. "It's the pale horse," David whispered. And I looked, and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. Revelation 6:8. The death toll wasn't instantaneous, but it was rapid. In the cities, people dropped where they stood. Cars crashed. Planes fell out of the sky as pilots succumbed. The Inside Man reports David had seen predicted a 40% reduction in global population within 72 hours. The remnant huddled in their central barn. They didn't have the pathogen. They hadn't taken the shots, but they were terrified. "They'll come for the survivors," a man named Elias said, clutching a shotgun. "They'll sweep the rural areas." "Maybe," David said. He stood on a crate. He looked thinner, older, but his eyes were fierce. "But listen to me. We are not just survivors. We are witnesses." He opened his Bible. Jesus said, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." Matthew 24:14. It's not over. We are still here, and as long as we are here, we have a job to do. Angela stood next to him. She took his hand. "We need to secure the perimeter," she said, her voice steady. "And then, we need to pray." Chapter 9. The morning after. 2 weeks later, The chaos had settled into a terrifying silence. The radio bands were mostly dead, save for automated emergency loops and other pockets of survivors crying out for help. The government, or what was left of it, had retreated to their bunkers. The elite zones were sealed off. The rest of the world was a graveyard. Angela and David stood on a ridge overlooking the valley. The sunrise was spectacular, a brilliant mix of violet and orange, indifferent to the carnage of humanity. "They think they won," David said. "They reduced the population. They have their manageable herd." "They didn't account for one thing," Angela said. "What's that?" "Faith," she said. "They stripped away the comfort. They stripped away the technology. They stripped away the illusion of control. And in doing so, they left people with nothing but God." She pointed down the valley. A group of 3 strangers was walking up the old logging road. They looked starving, ragged. One was carrying a Bible. "More are coming," Angela said. David nodded. He adjusted the strap of his rifle, then touched the worn leather cover of his Bible. "The tribulation is just starting," David said. "It's going to get worse. The beast will rise from this chaos to restore order. The false prophet will perform miracles to deceive the desperate." "I know," Angela said. She took a deep breath of the cold, clean air. "But we know how the story ends." She looked at David. "We endure," she said. "Unto the end," David replied. They turned and walked back down the hill to meet the strangers. There was work to do. There was food to share, and there was a truth to tell that no algorithm could ever delete.